Welcome to Jared Scott Outdoors. This YouTube channel is dedicated to getting our youth more involved in the outdoors. To do this, I'll be out with family and friends doing all sorts of outdoor adventures. This week on Jared Scott Outdoors, we're heading out after turkey. It's my daughter Abbie who drew a tag this year. After having been unsuccessful several years ago, Abbie was excited to have another try to fill her tag and harvest her first turkey. So, let's get after it. If you've seen any of my past turkey hunting episodes, you know that I like to hunt out of a blind if I have any kids hunting. It just seems to be the best way to have success. This year, with so much snow still on the ground the 1st of April, I headed out nervous about how much snow was going to still be on the ground, especially in the river bottoms where there's so many trees blocking out that warm sunlight.
This is a first for me. I've probably been hunting turkeys here for 12 years, maybe more. I have never come in with a foot of snow on the ground. What I don't know is, will this have changed the patterns of the turkeys? That I don't know. It's actually past the opening day by a couple days. Between track meets and other commitments, we couldn't come out for the opening day, so we'll be about 4 days late.
As you can see, while some spots were melted clear down to the dirt, there were other spots where I was post-holing through snow clear up to my knees. While I did see some tracks in the snow that turned out to be deer, I also spotted several sets of turkey tracks. That made me feel a little more confident that even with all the snow, the turkeys were somewhere around. As I got closer to the area I wanted to put up my blind, the trees were a little thinner, and so the snow was only about 8 inches deep there. This was definitely a first. I've never had to clear snow out before putting up my blind. But I cleared it as best I could, and then just figured we'd have to bring something waterproof to sit or kneel on inside the blind. Then pulled out the blind and got it positioned where it would give us the best clear angles on the shooting lanes I had.
There's turkeys around. I don't know if they're back here. Further out there, half a mile are the fields that, because there's snow in here, they're probably going over there. So I'm hoping that I'm not too deep. I'm just used to this place. I know kind of how they work, and so I'm hoping they're here. I am seeing some tracks around. Can't tell how fresh they are because they're all hot. The snow's been melting pretty good, but I don't know. I'm hopeful.
As I hiked out, I spotted this turkey up in the trees. I must have spooked it earlier when I had been hiking in. It appeared to be a hen and was probably a third of a mile away from where I put the blind up. So a good sign that the turkeys were at least in the area. The next morning, Abbie and I headed on in. The goal was to be in the blind before it was light, so that if there were any turkeys roosting nearby, they wouldn't see us. However, we were a few minutes late. So between the little bit of light that was already in the sky and the snow reflecting that light, it was going to be tough to actually sneak in very well. As if that wasn't bad enough, the loud crunchy snow made it impossible to be very quiet. We were really glad to hear and then see lots of turkeys roosted up in the trees near where I'd placed the blind the day before. But there would be no way to sneak into the blind without being seen by at least a few turkeys. Not having any other choice, we just got in as quickly and quietly as possible and hoped that once we disappeared within the blind, maybe they'd forget about us. You know, that whole out of sight, out of mind mentality. Getting inside, we tried to get things situated as best we could since we had all that snow inside the blind with us. We got the shooting sticks ready where we hoped the turkeys might come, and then pulled out the camera to get footage of all those turkeys roosted within inside of us. We were actually quite surprised at how many there were, and they were gobbling up a storm. It really looked like this could be a perfect morning scenario. That is, of course, assuming they'd forgotten we were here. We enjoyed watching and listening to them while we tried to stay warm, and then one dropped out of the roost to the ground. That seemed to be the trigger because suddenly they all started dropping out of the trees into the thick cover below and out of sight. Having hunted this spot for so many years, I know they like to drop off to the right of where you're looking now. However, sometimes they'll drop off closer to us. Regardless of where they drop, there's always a pretty good chance that at some point in the morning, a handful of turkeys will work towards us and into our shooting lanes. When most of the turkeys had dropped, we shifted our focus to where they could possibly walk out. All of them dropped off away from us, and we could only hear them off in the distance. There were none chirping nearby, but with patience, we hoped some would make their way closer to us. I tried to use several different turkey calls to get the attention of any nearby turkeys, but the only answers I heard were from a ways off. Nothing seemed to be moving towards us. When you add little sleep and no action, this is the common result. We spent a few hours listening to those turkeys way off in the distance, but none ever really seemed to get closer to us. Either they just didn't care, or they saw us more than we realized earlier in the morning when we tried sneaking in. But one thing was for sure, they weren't nearby.
Well, Abbie, how fun was that this morning?
I had a great nap.
That's not what we wanted. I mean, it was great. They were all around, but they all left. There's a few here and there, but we can only miss so much school in a day, so we're going to head back.
Hiking out, we actually didn't ever see a single turkey. We couldn't make it back that evening or the next day, but the following morning we planned on heading out again. But when another fresh snowstorm hit during the night and morning hours, we decided to wait till that evening to try again. So with only 2 hours of daylight left in the day, and after this morning's snow had melted off a bit more, we headed back out to our blind. Now let me take just a minute to show you a little backstory of when Abbie was 10 and drew her first turkey tag. During the course of several days of hunting, we had at least 3 nice toms walk in range, and Abbie just didn't pull the trigger. It was a combination of jitters, nervousness, trying to aim too exact, and maybe a little fear of the recoil. But for whatever reason, she let several nice toms walk right by us, and never did fill her tag. Here's the first one that she let pass. I gave Abbie the green light to go ahead and take the shot, and that was her cue to line up her sights on the big tom. With the impending shot, Abbie suddenly got the shakes, so it took her a bit to try to calm down and steady herself for a relaxed shot. When I say a bit, she was having a tough time.
Go ahead and take the shot. Take it.
I kept telling her to shoot, but she just couldn't get steady. When it walked behind the brush, there was just a short wait before it was back out into the open. It didn't stay there too long before it started walking back the way it had come, and soon enough was out of range. Here's another example of what happened when she was 10 and didn't pull the trigger.
Yeah, right in front of us, shoot it. Safety up.
With it only being 10 yards away, I immediately told Abbie to hurry and shoot.
Okay, it's gonna be coming. Okay, right there, that one that just came out. Shoot. Hurry. Oh, get a shot. Right now.
Yeah, I may have been just a little frustrated she didn't pull the trigger on that tom as it walked by at just 10 yards. But that's all water under the bridge. As long as she didn't do it this year. So let's get back to seeing how she handles it this time.
My blind, I'm a little nervous. It might be knocked down from all the wind and snow. So, we'll see.
When we passed a handful of fresh tracks, that was a good sign. When we passed tons of fresh tracks, that was an even better sign that the turkeys were close. That meant that they'd most likely be roosting nearby us tonight. It even got better when we found most of the snow had melted around the blind and even inside it.
I think there's literally fresh turkey poop in our blind. There's literally fresh turkey poop in our blind. The snow melted. And they came in while we were gone and pooped in here. I think they're mocking us. I'm pretty sure that's what's going on.
Using a stick, I got rid of the offending present from a recent turkey, and then we slipped in and got everything ready for when the turkeys would hopefully come in. I used some occasional turkey calls to do my best at getting the attention of any nearby turkeys and make them feel comfortable working towards us, and not surprisingly, it didn't take long before we started hearing some chirps off in the distance. When the distant chirps started getting closer, we got ready and paid special attention to the lanes we could see. From past experience, I knew they could just show up out of nowhere. Since turkeys have such good eyesight, I had Abbie get ready, because we've been busted before just getting the gun up near the window.
They're way down there right now.
A few minutes later, motion caught my eye about 100 yards off down at the end of the lane right in front of us. We shifted the camera and the shooting sticks and got Abbie all set up before they got closer. Then we just waited. I've seen them in the same spot only to have them cross out of sight to the right or the left. So just because they were there, it didn't really mean they'd make it all the way here. In fact, pretty much every time I've ever seen them in that spot, they disappear and then suddenly appear in a different area, and usually they move in and out so quick that we don't have a shot. However, this time they kept working right towards us, slowly, but in general working our way. There seemed to be at least 3 turkeys crisscrossing the area as they walked closer and closer. They did actually disappear for a time, but we could still hear them. Then one appeared feeding with its head down for a couple minutes. When it finally did lift its head, we realized it was just a hen. Then it suddenly walked closer towards us. That's when another turkey suddenly appeared even closer from our left, and it was obvious right from the start it was a tom.
Take the safety off.
Suddenly, we had a tom out in front, followed by 2 hens. It was obvious this tom was coming in as it was already nearly in range. The issue, however, was we needed it clear of those 2 hens behind it before Abbie would have a clear angle to take the shot.
No, he's gonna come back in. Here he comes. Okay. Good. Hang on. Okay, I think you're good.
Oh, my arm. It was not in the right spot. My 10-year-old self can be right.
Well, that worked out perfect.
Yeah, but
I mean, it's 20 yards away. Just walk
it's
straight
only
to us.
7:30.
I thought
we'd be here till 9.
I thought we'd have to wait for lots of almost and not quite. They didn't give us the angle, and it just walked straight to us. Perfect. And Abbie says she redeems herself. Why is that, Abbie?
10-year-old myself passed up on like 3 huge toms. We don't talk about it.
It's a long time ago.
It was a long time.
Took a long time for her to draw a tag again, and now you got it. Let's go check it out. Yep. Nice.
I didn't even mess his feathers up.
No, you didn't. That was perfect.
Not much to say about this other than awesome. It was terrible. This morning, woke up at 4:30, and it's just howling outside. It snowed. It was still snowing. And the thought of coming out here in the snow, and I know she doesn't like the snow. Like, she doesn't like ice fishing a whole lot. So I was thinking, do I go wake her up? And it's like, you know what? Unless they fly off the roost and come right to us, they're just going to hunker down. So why go out and be miserable and cold and lose all that sleep? So we'll come out in the evening. And I mean, it worked perfect. Abbie made a great shot. She says she redeemed herself when she was 10 and she had this tag. You know, well, you saw the footage. She just didn't want to, she was just hesitant, we'll say that, to pull the trigger. Just young, and I wanted to aim really, really tight. But anyways, she made it count now. So awesome, way to go, good job. What's your thoughts of the hunt, Abbie?
It felt way easy. What I remember was it was like we had to wait forever, but first shot did the trick.
Yeah. And yeah, I think when we came out before with her, it was several trips trying to make something happen. And this was trip number 2. So perfect. We got time to take everything down in the daylight, get out of here, and move on to more adventure. So a turkey just flew up right there. I can see it. There's another one. As we've been doing this, setting this up, they've been just popping up. There's 3 sitting right there. Anyways, we timed it just right. We're going to take everything down. This is an awesome way to end the day and an awesome way to end the show. These episodes can't be done without your help. You know the drill. Please make some comments, like, and subscribe, and I'll keep working on more videos.